are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay and Urban Miaris, and we have our next guests with us. We have from the firm of Cara and Garland, if I can talk today, Meagan Garland and Adriana Cara. So welcome.
Thanks for having us. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Cara and Garland. What do you do?
So Cara and Garland is a minority and women-owned law firm here in San Diego, and we practice primarily in the areas of labor and employment and business litigation. So essentially, we're able to represent businesses and employers with a broad spectrum of their legal needs.
Okay, so that means it's not just litigation. You represent for all types of things. So tell us a little bit more about how that works.
Well, the nice thing about our legal background is that we both have an extensive experience in litigation, but we also do advice and counseling and transactional work. Some of that includes helping employers out with employee handbooks, training, and workplace investigations, including sexual harassment training. And I think what makes our firm unique is the fact that we can speak Spanish and conduct the training in Spanish, and that's been a valuable asset for many of our clients.
Well, let me tap on that employee handbook, because I always, I always remember whenever we needed a handbook back in the old days, you'd go find a little software package, you'd write up your own handbook. But is there some type of risk that the employer has not having their handbook done properly and having the attorney involvement?
Yes, there's a really big risk. What a lot of employers don't realize is once you reach a certain number of employees, you're required to have written policies. For example, if you have at least 5 employees in California, you're subject to the Fair Employment and Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination and harassment. Now, some of the requirements of FEHA would be to have those written policies in place and to distribute it to employees. And many, especially smaller employers, don't realize that they have that obligation. And also, just from a practical perspective, even though it wouldn't be a legal requirement, you really need those written policies in order to defend against lawsuits. And, unfortunately, that is a very common cost of doing business here in California.
So, well, I can see where you would need that kind of properly written handbook at virtually any level of company. But you mentioned that, is there a size of company that, 1 employee, 10 employees, 20 employees, that mandates that you have that handbook in place?
Really, I think that the law comes into play really with 5 employees. However, here's the caveat with that. The Fair Employment and Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination and harassment, employers that have just 1 employee would be subject to the anti-harassment laws. So as a matter of practice, we always recommend that even if you have a really basic handbook that talks about office hours, your policy against harassment at the very least, it's a really good idea to have an employee handbook. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, we're a pretty litigious society at this point, and you really, as a business owner, you really need to protect yourself. And it's actually kind of comical to me. You said, 5 employees. I'm thinking, so it's okay to harass if you only have 3 employees? I mean, come on. No, the employees need to be protected, but the business owners need to be protected.
See, that's why you don't come over to my office.
Hey, I've been warned, okay? I've been warned you got a sloppy handbook.
Well, and also it's a very good way for employers. It's a very good way for employers to remain up to date with the newest employment laws, because they change. There are things that are added all the time, and so that having legal counsel prepare handbooks kind of gives the employers a little bit of leverage, because they're able to make sure that they stay on top of the latest laws and that they're in compliance with them.
Well, how often should a handbook be updated?
We recommend that a handbook be reviewed by employment counsel, someone who's knowledgeable, at least every year. And the reason is that in California, we are notorious for having the most changes in employment laws generally, and they're also the most employee-friendly. So you want to make sure, employers need to make sure that they're avoiding a lot of landmines that they're not even aware of. One example is the paid sick leave law that just came into effect. That will be going into effect in July of this year, and a lot of employers didn't realize that they are now going to have to provide paid sick leave, and that's something that policies need to be updated to reflect that. And if there is a current paid sick leave policy in place, it must comply with California law to provide benefits that are at least equal to what the law provides.
And that's why one of the things that we like to do at our firm is offer workshops. So on January 8th, we offered a workshop for our clients and prospective clients in the community at large to apprise people of the newest employment laws that went into effect in California, because they do change, and it's just good to stay on top of it. And so sometimes those workshops are helpful for employers to see what's on the horizon and to make sure that those new changes are reflected in their handbooks and their policies.
Well, you know what I find interesting, seems like there's a correlation here. Most businesses today, if they have any longevity, have incorporated at one time or another. Obviously, there's LLCs out there, but if you're an incorporated business, you need to keep your minutes up to date. And I would have to suspect that the vast majority of business owners do not keep their minutes up to date. Is that correct?
I've had clients come to our office where they are incorporated, and obviously for many legal reasons it's a good idea because you're trying to avoid personal liability in case your corporation is attacked. But one of the things that employers don't realize is that you have to observe corporate formalities in order for the law to recognize a corporation as a legal separate entity from you. So, yes, we've seen situations where especially smaller employers have grown complacent. They figured, well, I have the bylaws and the articles of incorporation in place, so they're really not taking steps to formalize the minutes, the meetings.
But tell us real quick, I mean, I know the answer, but I'd rather hear it from you. What happens if if litigation comes into a corporation and the minutes are not up to date, or all of the documentation behind the corporation, the corporation fails, am I correct?
Well, one of the things that can happen is that the individuals, the owners, the directors, the officers, could end up being personally liable to the extent that there's no, like Adriana mentioned, corporate formality. There's no basis to show that the corporation is a separate entity and that the corporation should be able to take care of its own risk and its own liabilities. And so really it ends up putting on the hook the business owners who fail to observe the corporate formality.
So it destroys, I forget the term, but it destroys the corporate veil.
Pierces the corporate veil.
Yes, in fact, even let's say you don't even want to have that be an open question in litigation. A plaintiff's attorney, when they're attacking an employer, they're going to look at every avenue. And one of the things that we've seen is the attempt to pierce the corporate veil. And what they'll sometimes do is they'll allege that, in fact, this was a corporate sham, and discovery ensues on whether or not these people maintained minutes and whether they treated this as a formal corporation where they're not commingling assets. That opens up a whole other world of discovery that really goes into private arena.
Right. No, it sounds like you guys are focused on preventing litigation.
That's right.
But that said, to the extent that there are those cases where litigation is inevitable, we are litigators and we're able to handle those. But certainly the advice and counseling piece of our business is, I'd say, one of our favorite components, because we do really enjoy helping our clients to remain free of litigation and to kind of avoid costly lawsuits.
Interesting. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170, theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD. Email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com, or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay and Urban Miaris, and our guests are Meagan Garland and Adriana Cara from Cara and Garland. So, what's an interesting correlation that I see here, I do a lot of work with small businesses myself, helping manage some of the benefits and their retirement plans and what have you. I see a great correlation between you and our last guest, Aran Sinai, where he comes in and he does a lot of the identity theft protection, which is offered through employment, through payroll. Okay, and there would be a great connection to bring you in, work with the corporate side, let Aran work with the employment side, and protect people in a great way. So
I definitely think that's the case. We've had really good work relationships also with other law firms that have complementary areas of practice, and one of those would obviously corporate. We do a lot of business litigation, but obviously corporate attorneys and attorneys that do help with the privacy and identity protection. It's always great to have that referral source for our clients.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of litigation, we've talked about sexual harassment. What are some of the other top types of litigation and reasons behind litigations that you're seeing?
Well, I can say that one of the other top motivators for why employers or employees bring litigation is wage and hour violations. What I've seen is our clients coming to our office and they're telling us, I am afraid this employee is going to sue me for discrimination or harassment. And the first thing I ask the client is, how are you paying your employees? How do you classify the employees? Are they exempt or non-exempt? Are you making sure that they're taking their meal and rest breaks? And they'll look at me like I have 3 heads. And I'll say the reason why that's so important is because this employee may not have a discrimination or harassment claim, but you better bet your bottom dollar that their attorney is going to ask, hey, by the way, is this person providing you with meal and rest breaks? The reason those are easier to bring against an employer is because you don't have to have ill will. You just have to have violated the wage and hour laws. The employee could be a substandard performer. That's not a defense, and you're still able to recover statutory fees and collect your attorney's fees.
Yeah, no, I get it. I see all too often you go in and you have labor and management within the business, and when everything is going well, the labor and management get along really well. As soon as something goes wrong, it's like your best friend turns into your worst enemy, and you have to protect yourself against that. And I hate to say it this way, but employees have the protection of the labor board, and the labor board sits heavily on the employee side in any type of conflict. Employers need the same kind of protection. That's why they need firms like yours.
Yeah, and they're so busy trying to run their business on a day-to-day, they don't have time to stay updated on what themselves and what the laws are. So to be able to go to your workshop and to be able to have you as an advisor, to stay on top of it for them, oh my gosh, that's so much less expensive than facing very costly, litigation. The legal industry's changed so much in San Diego, and there's so much competition. How have you guys been able to? I mean, people are coming out of law school and they're not even able to get gigs. It's a tough industry. Tell me about how you guys have been able to be successful.
I think that we've been very fortunate, and we're very humbled for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is that we practiced in big law for many years. We were trained in big law, practiced for a number of years there, and so we were able to get the training and the expertise and the knowledge that you would expect by going to a very large firm, but we remain competitive because we provide that same level of service and at rates that are more reasonable and that are more affordable. So it's kind of a win-win situation for our clients. And also one of our favorite words in our firm that we use to describe ourselves is we talk about our qualtegrity. That's the word that we use.
Ooh, I like that, qualtegrity.
Qualtegrity, and that is
stealing that.
Our quality at work product and our uncompromising integrity. We do not believe in taking the long way around or a shortcut. We believe in really giving our clients tailor-made approaches that make business sense for them.
Well, that leads me right into the next little segment for you guys. I'm looking down at some of your awards. San Diego Metro Movers, Super Lawyers Rising Stars, Leading Employment and Business Law Firm. So tell us a little bit about some of these awards and how you got them, and I give you my congratulations on them as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I can tell you that while we think a lot about our firm, we were humbled and surprised that we were receiving these awards, especially given the fact that we've just recently launched our firm. Although we're not just recent law school graduates, we recognize that many of the people that were side by side with us in receiving these awards are people that have been in the industry many, many more years than we have. So we were so grateful. I think that, however, that being said, something my father's always told me is if you're going to do a job, you better do it right, be the best that you can be at it, and I really do believe that that's what's propelled us forward and what's motivating us to do the best we can in the future.
Great.
Growth. Any plans in terms of to take this show on the road up to other towns? Are you just going to expand locally or keep it boutique? What are your plans for the firm?
Well, we right now we're trying to be the best firm that we can be here in San Diego and servicing our clients, but we really do believe that the sky is the limit. And so it's interesting. I used to practice at Baker McKenzie in their New
good
York
firm.
and their San Diego offices, and someone just said to me in passing, it was totally unsolicited, and said, Baker McKenzie was started by Mr. Baker and Mr. McKenzie. And what they said from that was that they saw talent with the two of us, and that you just never know. Now, are we endeavoring to become a Baker McKenzie? Not necessarily, but we are endeavoring to be the best Cara and Garland that we can be, and
Great.
so we're really excited about what the future holds. And we're also, one thing I wanted to mention too, is we're really excited about empowering other women who are interested in hanging their own shingle and opening up their own law firms.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and so we wrote an article recently, and it was called "Empowering Women of Color to Blaze Their Own Trails in the Legal Profession." And so we look forward to being a tangible resource with advice and financial resources for women who are looking to do just that.
Great.
Love it.
I think it's fabulous. I think it's, in the old days, it was so hard for anybody of any type of minority, be it a women-owned business, be it, the women of color,
or
whatever, disabled,
like urban.
anything there, it was hard to step out. And I'm so happy to see people like yourselves stepping into taking on the challenge, because it is a challenge. And
especially in that industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, talk about blazing a trail.
Yeah, well, correct me where I'm wrong, the legal industry has been a man's world for many years, has it not?
I would say that especially in the litigation field, it's a very male-dominated profession. I can tell you that there have been numerous times that I have arrived at court wearing a suit, and I am looking at the trial calendar, and I can't tell you how many times older gentlemen have approached me and said, "Oh, I'm so glad the court reporter's here." Or I am,
oh no!
Oh yes.
Oh, that has happened.
Shut up!
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it has. Or that we are the stand-in for the lawyer who must be on his way.
Oh.
That's happened.
Or you, the paralegal, or the interpreter.
Or one time, one time it happened to me that
Men.
No.
Hey, don't be looking at me on that one.
This happened from a woman to me. A woman one time, I was doing a pro bono asylum case, and I was there with my client, dressed in my suit, doing everything, and she asked me if I was one of the asylum applicants.
Oh,
and,
wow.
So sometimes to be confused for the client, that's when I'm looking around, there's no other lawyer who's here at counsel table. But those experiences have really made us stronger, and we've spent a number of years, with our heads down and working really hard and really fine-tuning our craft.
Great.
And I feel that that's what's able to...
Right. Well, we're running short on time. Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you, how they find out more information.
So they can visit our website at www.caragarlandlaw.com. That's CARAGARLAND law.com. We're located at 600 B Street, Suite 1420. And they can also feel free to check us out on Facebook and also on Twitter.
Great. Great. Well, ladies, thanks for being with us. I look forward to following up with you. I think there's a lot of things we can carry your story forward and do a lot of great things together.
Thank you so
much.
Thank
you so much.
Great. Thank you. This is Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD or just find us on Facebook. You can always email me at Barry at CloseUpSanDiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.